Are there pieces of technology that just would have been game-changing for you as a child going in and out of hospital and then growing up into a young adult, sort of adopting this carer role that didn't exist to you, but if there's entrepreneurs listening that you would really want them to sort of dive into and try and make a reality?
I think having something just so basic around, medical record management, I feel like it's discussed so often, but it just isn't done. And for someone that's basically lived in the health system since they were born, I only recently fully realised and processed that we don't own our own health information and our own health records. And that is a really scary thought for me, especially as someone that's trying to understand that I do have autonomy over my own body, when I've learned that I don't really have autonomy over my own body as a child growing up and being told this has to happen and you can't really say yes or no to that. So I think, having medical records that you can document or things that you can record yourself and be able to merge that with, things with my dad. So my mum would be able to coordinate both and I would be able to start to learn about my condition. My mum was really good with me and able to educate me about my condition as I grew up. So as soon as I became, old enough to talk to doctors myself, I was doing that. Whereas I've seen a lot of people in my community get to, 18 and suddenly start to have conversations with doctors and don't understand, what VACTERL is or what procedures and surgeries they've had done or what this surgery name actually means. So I think things like that can actually start to assist people to understand would be fantastic. Or, this is what the surgery is and this is actually a little video of what it is and what it looks like, would be really helpful. But I also think something that I'm very, very passionate about is how we can actually better teach young people, and perhaps through technology, about autonomy and autonomy over their own body. So I think we all know that, women with disability especially have high rates of sexual assault and sexual violence. And I think that what I didn't understand when I was younger was that I had autonomy over my own body, which was what I mentioned before, because I had so many invasive surgeries and procedures and examinations that I couldn't really say no to, even though there's informed consent there. So growing up, I wasn't really able to assert boundaries and things, and I think that contributed to experiences that I had in certain ways. So I think if technology was there that was able to teach me more things and be able to teach me skills that I could use in a clinical environment in the hospital, I would be able to better translate that out into social environments.
And going to the mission of Champion Health Agency, I know you touched on it before, but if you wouldn't mind just expanding on exactly what you're trying to do as the founder of that and some of the challenges you've experienced or things you've learnt being a female founder with a disability.
Yeah, I think what Champion really aims to do is professionalize lived experience. And that came out of me realizing that as much as I absolutely tried my hardest, there's no amount of determination that can really change the circumstances that I was in. And that was that I was managed by 13 specialist teams. And the amount of times I just needed to go into hospital for appointments, let alone when I was actually sick, was not covered by sick leave. It wasn't really covered by the workplace accommodations. And I wasn't actually able to achieve the high levels of my career that I knew that I was capable of because of just, I guess, bias in the workplace and things like that. And I knew that entrepreneurship was, I guess, a pathway around that. But I also knew that all of the things that I've learned in the healthcare system was lived experience, and that had so much value to different organizations. So the idea of professionalizing lived experience, I realized there were so many different domains that lived experience kind of sat in. So it could be speaking to an organization, it could be within professional development or research or creating content or being part of strategies. And when you actually pull these different things together, it can start to create, an income that can actually start to, pay the rent or pay bills or things like that. And, if you're given, just say, a piece of writing or content to create, you can do that at like 3 a.m. when you can't sleep and you have insomnia, and that can then pay the rent for the week. And I think that was so special because also a lot of people with disability could create this with their lived experience. they could start to create meaning from it, they could process it, and they could see all the value that it's actually giving not only the organization, but the audience that was seeing it. And that was a really, really special thing.